I'm Noreen and welcome to my kitchen and a new episode of What's for Dinner. It is Sunday and we have to go do some visiting today, but I'm sure that by the time I get home I won't really feel like cooking a whole lot. So we're going to put something in the crock pot this morning, and since I have a ham bone that's been taking up some room in the freezer, the only way to get it out of there is to just make some bean soup. So that's what we're going to do. I've made bean soup before, but today we're going to make a 15 bean and barley soup. And what I've done is I buy the 15 bean soup mix or the 21 bean soup mix in a bag. I buy several bags at a time. I keep them in a 2-quart jar, the ones that I don't have in my deep storage. I keep them in a 2-quart jar on my can rotator. I took 2 cups of the bean mix and I rinsed them and I picked through them, and I just have them in the bottom here of my crock pot sleeve. Let's go over what else we're going to put in here. I have about a cup each of onion chopped. This is about a medium onion chopped. About a cup of celery chopped. There's a schmutzy one. I have 4 small to medium carrots that I've simply sliced. My ham bone, which is very meaty. I always, on purpose, and there's a piece of barley on my ham bone. On purpose, I always leave quite a bit of meat on my ham bone. You can see this is out of the freezer. I simply took it out of the bag that I had it in and I ran it under some water to get the protective frosty layer off of it. I watched a movie once that's from, but you know me. I have 4 cups of chicken. This is chicken bullion that I dissolved in 4 cups of water. We're not going to use just this much water. We're going to use water to cover, so probably about twice as much water as this. I like to make the bullion where it's concentrated at first, and then I level it out with more water later. Because we're also going to have salt from the ham and the smokiness from the ham. We don't need to add a terrible amount of extra salt at all. We're not adding any extra salt to this recipe. I have 2 14-ounce cans of diced tomatoes. I like tomatoes in my bean soup. I think it adds another level of flavor and a different depth. I'm also going to add, these are my home canned jalapenos. I'm going to add about half of this, so half a cup. You can use bell pepper, you can do whatever, and I may go in my freezer and chop up some bell pepper and throw it in here. I think that would be really nice. We're going to add about a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of marjoram, about a teaspoon of thyme. I'm going to add a teaspoon of onion powder and garlic powder. I'm also going to add fresh garlic, but I have to get out of the fridge. And I think I'll just, while I'm over here, I'll just grab a bag of peppers, because I have one that is kind of towards its end, and I think I'll just chop these up. So, we'll just do that. That's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and dump all of these in the crock pot. Just like that. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and chop up some of these peppers. Let's see. When I freeze my peppers, grab a knife, babe. Some of them I just put in there and I just sliced them. Some of them I sliced in half. Some of them I sliced in rings. The jalapeno peppers that I froze, I didn't do anything to it except wash them and take the stems off of them. And I left them whole and I froze them just like that. It makes it really easy. I, for some reason, have become the pepper queen. That's what my friend Cat's Cradle has called me for a number of years. And it's true. I never met a pepper plant I didn't like. And when spring comes, I'm just going to throw these right in there. And they put the plants out for, at the garden store or at the old-fashioned hardware store. It's very difficult for me to resist them. Okay. I'm going to go ahead at this point. I'm just going to nestle my ham bone down in there. I'm going to bring this over here. So, we're not using the barley just yet. We're going to just set that aside so we don't accidentally toss it in there, because that would be something I would do. And now I'm going to go let Sammy in the house because Rick made the mistake of letting her out. she wants right back in. Really? Come on. Okay. It's 1 can of tomatoes.
Do a video on Mitchell sometime.
That would be fun. Greg would probably let us do that in there. That would be really fun.
Posted on his,
oh,
his
yeah.
website.
Let's see.
They have a great old-fashioned hardware store here.
We do. It's called Mitchell's, and it's absolutely out of this world. We always say, if you can't find it...
They have a Facebook page. You can go check them out. Mitchell's Hardware.
In New Bern, North Carolina. I'm sure there's more than one Mitchell's Hardware in the country, huh?
I don't know.
You never know, right? Okay. Let's add some of these peppers. And yes, I added the vinegar that went with them. That'll add a nice edge. I'm going to grind some black pepper. Not a lot. Pardon me. Like a half a teaspoon. Not adding any extra salt because, like I said, we've got saltiness from the bouillon. We've got additional saltiness from the ham. Let's do some marjoram. And I chose marjoram about that much. Marjoram isn't as, how do I say this? It's not as bitey as oregano, but it's not as, it is not anise at all like basil. Marjoram is in the same family as oregano, but it has a difference. It's much more mellow. And some thyme. Beans and thyme are like
peas and carrots.
Jenny and Forrest. They go together.
Except they didn't.
Huh?
Except they did.
Jenny and Forrest?
They never got together.
Well, they did one time, and they made a little forest. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Onion powder and garlic powder. This is really to taste. I usually have a heavy hand with both of these, but if you want a measurement, I would say at least a teaspoon of each. You really can't mess this up. Crock pot soups are one of my favorite things. Let's rinse this out with some more warm water. And I have used chicken bouillon. You can choose to use beef bouillon. You could use a packet of the pork bouillon. Entirely up to you. Now, I'm going to get a spoon and I'm going to give this a zhuzh, but I don't know how much good it's going to do, so we'll see. Oh, it's kind of loose, and that's good. That's just how we want it. Give that a nice stir. As this cooks and starts to bubble, everything is going to mix itself. Those beans are going to start to absorb that liquid. Later on in the afternoon, we'll come back and we'll take a look. We may have to add a couple of cups of liquid to this because as those beans start to cook, and you will notice that I did not pre-cook my beans, I did not soak my beans, I never do. I have a lot of people always ask me, you didn't soak your beans? I thought you had to soak your beans. Nonsense. You just have to cook them long enough for them to cook. You don't have to soak them. I mean, that's a personal choice. Some people believe if you soak them and then rinse them, then they're less apt to cause intestinal distress. But, you know, it's entirely up to you. If you live with a man, ladies, you know that just about everything causes intestinal distress, so it's really pointless. Okay. Put the lid on it. Put it in the sleeve. I'm going to set it on high for at least an hour until this gets really ripping. Then I'm going to turn it down on low. This is going to cook all day, at least 8 hours. And then we'll come back and I'll check it in the middle of the afternoon and I'll let you see what it looks like. Hi everyone, we're back. And it is around 5 o'clock in the afternoon and we want to eat in about an hour or so. So I have given this a good stir, and I took all of the weird ham bony parts out of here, and I took the bigger pieces of meat that have fallen off the bone, and I went ahead and I shredded them and I returned them back to the pot. And I'm sorry the light is weird, but you know, it's afternoon and I have a really bright piece, you know, thing of sun coming through my kitchen window. But here it is. Rick is in the back watching NASCAR. and I don't want to disturb him, so we're going to do this one-handed, like I see so many ladies doing. I have a cup here of barley. We're going to go ahead and put that in the soup, give it a good stir, and we're going to let that barley cook. And that's just regular pearled barley. And we're going to put it back on high. I actually did turn it down to low. We're going to put it back on high. We're going to let it simmer and sputter. And then when we come back, it'll be time to fix you a bowl of bean and barley soup. So when that happens, we'll be back. Okay. Dinner's ready. I don't know, but I think this looks so hearty and delicious. And this soup is going to last us at least a couple of meals. So let's fix you a bowl. It's really thick because once you put the barley in there, it tightens everything up really well.
Did you tell me to put barley in there? Did you tell me to put barley in
I
there?
did. You were in the back watching your race, so I did it with one hand.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to bother you.
Pause it. What paused it?
I know, but that's okay. Let me grab a spoon. And we have some sourdough rolls that I made yesterday for Sloppy Joe's, and we will just have those if we want bread with this. This is just really hearty. I don't know that we need bread with it at all. You've got your carbs from the barley, that's a whole grain. You've got lots of protein from the beans and the ham that's in there. That ham bone was very meaty and it rendered out a lot of meat, so, and a lot of flavor as well. I seriously doubt that we'll have to add salt to any of our servings because of the bullion that we used in here and the ham that we used in here as well. So that is how I make bean and barley soup. Really hearty for a cold night, really hearty for any time you want to serve a good stick to your ribs meal. It's also going to feed a lot of people. I mean, this serving that I just dished up for Rick, that's way too much for the girls and I, and we'll probably only have like one ladle full because
Way too much for me too.
It's probably. But if you're going to feed a group, I believe you could easily feed, 8 to 10 people with what's in this crock pot. It could also be done from what you have on hand. It could be done from your pantry stock. If you have canned hams, like if you can your own ham meat, you could use that in there as well as a seasoning. You could use a ham hock, you can use bacon, you can use sausage. You don't have to use ham. Beans come right out of your pantry, a little bit of water, a little bit of seasoning, some fresh veggies, or dehydrated. If you have freeze-dried or dehydrated vegetables in your food storage, use those in there as well. A couple of cans of tomatoes and you're good to go. It really is a versatile way to feed a lot of people, or to feed your family for at least a couple of meals and a couple of lunches. So, bean and barley soup, probably something you didn't really think about. I don't really think about putting beans and barley together, but if you think about it, it really is like a perfect protein. Just like they say when you put beans and macaroni together, that's a perfect protein. Same with beans and barley. The barley is going to give you good carbs, good whole grain, it's low on the glycemic index, and you're good to go. So, I hope you try it. I hope you love it. Thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen today, and until next time, I'll see ya.